One of the topics or questions that comes up quite often is that of using RTV silicone sealants, in some cases oils and other materials, on gaskets before they're installed. The biggest problem with gasketing, when you're taking, let's just say you're using a standard ASA flange gasket, ring gasket, or full face, regardless of the thickness or the material, let's just assume that we're talking about a non-asbestos compressed type sheet. Our standard is 7500 and 7800. So one of the old saws that I hear quite a bit from people today installing a gasket, they'll drop a gasket or they'll pull a gasket out of a bucket of oil. And I always ask, why are you doing that? And normally the response is, well, Fred, who used to be here and is now retired, told me you have to do this before you install the gasket. When I ask why specifically you do that, most can't tell you. That used to be a practice a long time ago, but prior to 1980, when asbestos was pretty much taken out of the market. We've never sold asbestos, don't want to deal with it. But back in the day, as they say, material gaskets that were used where the bulk of the material in the gasket, 75 to 85%, was asbestos fiber. The balance was some type of elastomer and clay fillers. Today you're getting just almost the opposite, where the elastomer takes a greater percentage of that gasket, perhaps 35%, maybe a little bit higher. And the balance of it is clay fillers, and usually anywhere from, I think, half to 2% Kevlar fiber or aramid fiber. So the problem is when you soak that gasket or you put oil on it, or in a lot of cases RTV silicone sealant, the gasket itself will start to extrude as you put load on that gasket between flanges. If you're involved with phonographic type flanges, some of the standards used on standard ASA flange gaskets, you're going to be okay to some degree, but that gasket will extrude. If you're using RTV silicone sealants, the sealant off-gasses the volatiles out of it, and they go into and soften the elastomer in the gasket. What you'll normally see is an extrusion of that gasket, or it will split under pressure, so under compressive load. So it's a bad practice. If you're going to use anything, we always suggest either something like 3M 77 spray adhesive or PERMATEX aviation grade adhesive. Those are used primarily to hold the gasket in place. They do help a little bit with sealing, there's no question about it. Particularly if you're installing a gasket in a vertical position. It's great to use that because it'll hold that gasket in place until you get the mating flange up and some bolts through the holes. So going forward, if you're using RTV silicone sealants now, at best, you should put on a very thin, light smear of that material. And try not to cover the entire gasket. Usually you want to put it around the ID, if it's a full face, before the holes. So you'll stop that extrusion going out to the OD. If you're doing oils, stop that practice immediately. You'll do nothing but damage the gasket. They will extrude. And the thing that you're trying to do is to increase and not decrease friction between the gasket and the flanges. So that's the lesson for today, and that is part of our best practices. We hope that this helps you. Thanks for calling or checking with Master Packing and Rubber Company. We appreciate your business. Thank you.